Welcome, 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 everybody. This is the MOKR Mastermind. Um, for those of you that are new, Daniel and Felicia, what we do here is we mastermind our projects that we're starting or that we are working on already at really any stage. And what's really awesome about this, we could just have an idea and come to these MOKR Masterminds and get it something that's more concrete, or we can be right in the thick of it in the trenches, and we're stuck in a certain place in our project, and we can't get to that next part. And we could use these MOKR masterminds as a way for us to get past something, overcome an objective. And we've had Ray give his MOKR before. Yanni, hi Yanni, give her MOKR. Mary's going to give her MOKR today. And just a couple things, I'm going to send you guys this link here. This is Mary's MOKR. Make sure I have it in here in the chat, so you guys can look at it. And then if anybody else wants to do a MOKR, basically you fill out this document, and then you can create your own presentation and show up for one of these meetings, and you'll present for a little bit, and then we'll dive into masterminding, helping you accomplish your objectives. What the MOKR stands for is mission, objective, key result. And we're going to get into your mission, your objectives, figure out what determines the key results that accomplish your objectives, and help you to work on those as we work on them. And then you can come back and we can chat about it as a group, this is kind of an alpha test for an incubation program that we're kind of running here. So glad to have everybody here. Mary is going to be our presenter today. Mary, if you want to get started, just to introduce, before we do that, let's do some quick introductions, like 30, 60-second pitches. And let's start with those that are newer for us. Daniel, if you want to introduce what you're doing with C Collective, that would be great.
Yeah, so my name is Daniel Kleinman. I'm the founder of Seaworthy Collective in Miami, Florida. My background is in marine robotics, and I've spent the last 5 years in that field on different ends. And basically our goal is to empower innovation and entrepreneurship for the oceans, getting people from the ground up, working to develop regenerative startups in the ocean space. And we're hoping to basically build up our community right now and end up doing an incubator come early next year.
Very cool. Yeah, we're doing very similar work so it's really cool to kind of see that come together. Felicia, if you awesome. If you want to introduce yourself and let us know what you're up to as well.
Sure. I'm Felicia Chavez, and I live in Marin County, California. I have a small nonprofit subgroup called Systems Thinking Marin, where I promote systems thinking in Marin. And my fiscal sponsor, Pam at Inquiring Systems Inc., referred me to a group, and then I had all kinds of things pop up on my calendar, so here I am. And I also promote the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals of 2030 here in Marin County.
Awesome. So did you get on the GRC calendar, the Global Regenerative Collab?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe it was on the calendar, I'm just not seeing it. Very cool. Yanni, do you want to go?
Hi, everyone. My name is Yanni. I'm based in Toronto, Canada. I'm a designer by training, so I started Regenerative Space. That is actually my MOKR project. So Josh and Ray and MP and Emily have been coaching me in creating this. And so I'm trying to help B Corps and social ventures and other social impact or impact-driven companies and teams to use design to understand people better. So I'm helping them to do consumer research or user research, and then create new offerings and products and services that will meet people's needs. And so that's so far what I'm trying to do. And my latest project is actually I'm working on this community currency project in Toronto. What we're trying to do is actually to prototype a community currency that is only available in Toronto, that can only be used in Toronto. So it's something like Bristol Pounds, if you know Bristol Pounds. And I'm working with Transition Toronto for this project. And so I'm using design thinking to prototype this intervention and do research with people. So yeah, that's for me. Thank you.
Thanks, Yami. Vincent, if you're there, if you'd like to introduce yourself, just a quick 30, 60-second introduction.
Sure, thank you. I don't have my video on because I'm actually driving, but glad to make it, glad to be here. I'm a background as a designer and engineer. I also am a fellow with the Stanford Design School University Innovation Fellows, where we focused in higher ed. But recently I've gotten more interested in the sort of regenerative economy principles and have worked in business for the last 3 years, trying to start a zero waste cafe concept, and realizing that the systemic issues with the infrastructure were the main limiting factor towards creating sustainable products within that system. And so now working on some different, I guess more of like bigger picture projects to bring almost like information ecology projects in order to make the connections between people who are working in different spaces, to basically connect like policymakers with also people who have businesses, with consumers, in order to catalyze the shift into more regenerative local economic projects, starting kind of locally here on Long Island, where I'm from. And also I'm from Italy originally, so have family there. So kind of working there as well. We have an edible cup that we make for the cafes. So it's a little bit about me.
Awesome. Thanks, Vincent. Vincent, thanks for joining us. And let's see, Ray, I think Ray and Emily are the last ones to go.
Yep, awesome. So my name's Ray. I'm from Australia, down in Victoria. So it's Friday morning for me, and this is a great way to start end my week. So it's good. The main project I'm working on at the moment is a company called Farming Secrets. Farming Secrets has been educating farmers to basically make the transition to what we call regenerative ag now. But back then it was just like farming without chemicals and growing really good food and soil health. So we have a growing list of people who value soil health as the root of solving a lot of the world problems, from food security to drawing down carbon. And so I'm really excited to be working with that. My parent company is the Stay Sharp Group. And so I basically invest and work with companies who focus on education and impact as their core values. So I'm a bit of an serial entrepreneur, and I do a lot of projects and keep very busy. But I'm starting to get very laser focused in this kind of education impact, and especially regen movement. So regen lifestyle, regen ag, and a lot of the projects that you're working on sounds amazing. So kudos to you all.
Awesome. And if it's not too crazy over there, maybe you want to introduce yourself as well.
Yes, I've only got one of four right now. Hi, I'm Emily. In the wild right now, watercoloring with my 3-year-old and making dinner for the other 3. So I'm Josh's wife, and I guess my background is in Latin American studies, which is totally random, but also marketing and branding. Hey, and homeschool. Kind of all over the place, but it's all good stuff. So I guess I come to this super passionate about taking permaculture and helping people apply it to their personal zone zero in their mindset. And that's kind of my area of genius, I guess I would say. Dare I say that? So yeah, I'm super excited to meet the new people and get into Mary's MOKR today. And if it's too like distracting with me walking around, I can turn my video off. But okay, until everyone else comes back in, maybe.
Mary, so Mary's going to be presenting, and we'll get into that. Mary, we're going to give you 20, 30 minutes. So probably, and if you need shorter, if you want to go shorter and we can just start talking and workshopping your stuff, that's also good too. The more time to work through your MOKR with the group, the better, right? So I'll let you share your screen and we'll go from there and you can introduce yourself.
Okay. Let's see. So my last name is not Starbeam. I started this little Play-Doh channel a long time ago and on Google, and that's why that says my name, because I just used a fake name. So anyway, my big dream, I'm going to start with that, and not detailed. Don't worry. Oh, come on. So one thing I realized is, good grief.
Mary,
Okay.
if you need me to share screen, or can you find the share screen on there? It should be at the very bottom in the center.
Okay, let's see. Share.
There we go.
Okay. Okay, so I think probably my biggest passion is just realizing how much thoughts and emotions affect us. So this is like, I don't know, I think maybe even some of your Seeds of Tao is part of that, right? Like the seeds and the thoughts. And so my dreams are, there's a really big span. And the thing they had in common was that they all helped people reach actualization. And so that's why I use this word, but it's not everyone just knows right off what that means. But I had to find a why that encompasses everything that I want to do right in my life. And so I have dreams that span from teaching people how to process their feelings and their thoughts, including children. So these are all ages with these things. And meditation, mind movies, even like bringing meditation to prison, and helping people out of debt. I also really care about nutrition and health, physical and mental, right? So that's kind of where permaculture fits in with some of this, but I think it kind of overlaps everything. And let's see, I'm going to pull up my MOKR next. So some of this will make more sense in a second, but okay. Sorry, I just learned how to screen share today. So this is really fun. Okay. Screen share. Tell me when it's sharing.
There we go.
Okay. All right. So so my why statement is I synergistically help people actualize, and I put in and become their best selves, but it means the same thing, to spread healing and peace to more people and the earth. And so synergistically, these words I picked out very carefully so that I can keep this at one sentence. It includes a feeling of working together. My greatest desire is really to help people fully actualize and have them pay it forward and to continue to lift people. The irony about this is that I need this program as well that I'm creating, and I've not actualized yet, but that's okay. Like, I'm serious. My heart is like telling me to do this. So to go for it. So let's see. So just real quick, my story, and I don't want to, of course, I won't take too long, but is that I, especially with the thoughts and things, is that I've been in and out of Azkaban for years. And what that means is just like I've found myself really trapped in my thoughts and my beliefs. So just like being very poor and believing that it's never going to change, and just kind of believing that if I try, it won't matter. Like I've just been in this very, you know, dark place kind of. And I felt like I've had these big dreams and I've been just kind of like gagged and bound almost. And that I finally escaped. And so I say prison, but I don't mean it lightly. Like I do mean, I'm symbolic, right? But in the story, you're probably mostly, you know about it, but Azkaban is actually the Dementors suck out your hope and all the goodness, right? And there's no bars or anything. That's the only thing that keeps you trapped. So I was just, as I was, you know, reading that, I was like, oh yeah, Azkaban. In fact, when she wrote those stories, she based it off of depression, the Dementors. And so that's one thing I realized, that there was some kind of connection, that I was very stuck in myself and couldn't progress. And so, and I was inspired by the Count of Monte Cristo, the old guy in there, how he thrived, even though he was totally, you know, in prison, but how he was still scraping at the walls and like making candles out of fat and, you know, ink out of ashes in his blood, like all this stuff. And I'm like, he's thriving as much as he can. And how can I thrive? And so I started just learning audiobooks constantly all the time. And that's when I found Kirk Duncan and kind of got some ideas about vision boards and hope. And then I found Joe Dispenza and learned about mind movies. So that's another thing that that's one of the things that helped break me free, but it was a group effort with different things. So I kind of just kept working, and it ended up having to be a really collaborative effort to break me out of my own thought that I couldn't, I don't know, be something or change my circumstances or have what I want or be happy or help people, like just all of these things, right? So this is kind of like the core, but it's so much more, right? Because, you know, it also includes health and things like that. But I do feel like this is kind of the springboard to help people, right? And so I just I was on a roll, and I was like, wow, you're on a roll. And then I'm like, oh crap, where am I? Oh my gosh, I'm talking on a worker. So that is where I'm coming from. And then my thing that I'm doing is I'm going to start a blog, and my name is Merry Christmas. I married into it. So it's Mary. But that was my husband's last name. So it's kind of like unique, you know, and a lot of people tell me that it makes them feel happy when just knowing that I have that name, and I like that. So it makes it worth it, because there's a couple things that are like, okay, haha, you know, like there's some stuff. But so how do I start, right? Because I'm just kind of just breaking free, and my idea is just to start with a blog. Okay, so and I'm going to launch this. It's about 3 months, but it's going to be December 25th. And if you see my MOKR here, is I am committed to maintaining unwavering faith that I will create and launch a blog with 5 complete entries by December 25th, 2020, so that I can spread healing and peace to people and the earth. I will put forth extraordinary effort until I do, no matter what. There is no other option. And so that's how I'm starting with my traction, I guess. But I eventually would like to grow. And so, also I will come back to that, I guess, or include it in this, but I'll do this first. I decided if I spend at least 14 hours a week writing and editing between now and then, and I learned how to manage a blog, and I have some people that are willing to help me that kind of talked me into doing it in the first place and said they'd help me and stuff like that. So I'm going to have to really utilize them because this is new. And then kind of how it ties in is I have a great interest in learning permaculture as well. So this blog is not going to be a permaculture blog, but it will definitely feature that because it's going to be, I'm just going to be talking about, I guess, my journey and also the things I'm doing and the things I'm learning. And so I want to talk about permaculture as something that I'm doing and learning. And I would like to show and share how to do things and try to get people excited. And so that's, and get people involved and invite them. And some of the stuff with Pay It Forward, I'm trying to incorporate that into every section of what I want to do. And I would like to eventually really help people that that when they find out about permaculture, for example, to be able to offer resources or direction, at least like tell them good places to go. And I would love to do scholarships someday to help people. And then also with possible future things. Okay, so dreaming really big, because these are things I'd like to do with other things like getting out of debt. I'd like to help pay that forward and make incentives where people they learn how to do it and they get the confidence, but then they get some kind of help that makes it really, really worth their time. But they put in effort to show that they're serious about learning how to get out. And but just a way to really ease the pain and to make it help people get all the way out to where they're successful. And that would include mentors and things like that to help encourage people. I really want to lift people that are kind of stuck, and then get them all the way up and then eventually, have them help other people do this. So this is that's the core of my great dream. And so that could possibly include someday a foundation that does like donations. I would have to learn more about that, right? Like nonprofit stuff. But right now I'm just starting with the blog. But but monetizing would be something I would eventually want to do. And so my thought is a lot of blogs, how they do it right now is they will do affiliates and stuff like that. And so I would try to have affiliates that would help be along the same lines of what I want to achieve and help people with, things that I really like or feel like are in line with that, right? And then I would, so hopefully it would be something where we could help each other, right? And one of the things I love about permaculture is I feel like it is just the very principles of it. It's a structure that can be applied to so many other things, no waste, and I just think it's brilliant, like it's genius. And I want to learn more. And also as well, also like social permaculture and things like that. So as far as brainstorming today or masterminding, some of that I would like suggestions of where to get information, where to learn from. I don't necessarily have to do a program like where I get a certificate. One reason that's attractive to me is because I feel like there wouldn't be gaps, like I would feel confident that I was getting a really good portion, like with all the things in it that instead of just picking randomly here and there, I want direction. And so that's one thing I would like from you guys. And then if you have any ideas with affiliates, but that's a few months down the road. And I think that's pretty much all I got, unless you want to prompt me to say something else.
No, I think that's great. And I love this because we are starting from an idea, and you're so courageous, Mary, to just kind of get going on it. And let's see how we can help you turn it into, something tangible and moving forward. Right. And there's this really vulnerable space that's often entrepreneurs, or I would say just people that have an idea and they want to take it forward that they never actually get into. So I'm giving you kudos right up front for just like getting rid of that like first obstacle of like getting out of yourself and just getting to work and creating a MOKR on this. It's really
That's
exciting to
why
see.
I'm doing it, is I could start to feel like the looming, like closing in, and I'm like, no, expected patronum. No. And that's why I'm doing this, is because I need that light. Like, I don't want to go back there. And so part of that darkness is, who are you to have these ridiculously huge dreams? And like, you're dumb. Like, that's part of my darkness. Like just, but I'm like, no, like, I'm out and I feel good and I don't want to go back there. Like, screw you. And that is definitely why I'm doing this and why I did it so quickly.
Yeah. Vincent's actually typing some things here too.
So okay.
I'm just going to read his comments here.
Yeah.
More and more, I've been coming to the conclusion that changing the world and creating more regenerative ecologies and economies comes down to, in part, a collective cultural and spiritual enlightenment that changes the way people see themselves and each other and the world around them, dropping in some personally inspiration mentors, role models that have helped me through tough times. If you're interested, looking into some potential synergies. The work by Kate Byron, Wim Hof. I love Wim Hof's work. I haven't heard of Kate Byron's stuff yet, but I definitely want to look into that. Eckhart Tolle, I love The Power of Now. Like, it's changed my life. I'm sure some of you have read The Power of Now. Ellen Watts, and Dylan Schmidt. I'm not sure that one. I can't pronounce that last name.
Daniel Schmachtenberger. It's his last name.
Yeah. You know what? And Kirk Duncan, Mary, he was one of my favorites too. And he's been a mentor for me and has helped me out of a depression and helped me to work through mentoring business. And he's done so much for me. So I think he's been a good one for you as well. So really great. There's a lot of great mindset mentors. And I think it actually is our zone zero, right? It's our mindset. And if we can really master that, it can get us and many others need that as well to really accomplish those goals that they're setting out to do. So thank you, Vincent, for sharing that.
My pleasure.
Yeah, so let's get into this. We're creating a blog. And Mary, this is your first time creating a blog. And we can talk technical stuff. We can talk high-level vision, kind of getting you there, or whatever challenges you feel like you have. We can also do some clarifying questions to kind of help you work through this. One of the clarifying questions that I have is, are you already starting to work on a certain platform? And what do you think your big challenges are kind of moving forward from right now?
Like, I have a domain. Is that when you say platform?
So yeah, there's a lot of different platforms that you can blog on. So there's you can do something like Google has a free system that's Blogger, right? And then there's WordPress. There's so many different platforms that you can actually create it on and set your own domain to run off of.
Yes,
right?
I have a domain, merrychristmas.blog. And I've started writing some things, rough draft. And I have WordPress.
Awesome. And what do you think your big challenges are that you're going to be encountering as you work on this?
So I've been trying to like purposely not think of big challenges, like just making myself write it. That was actually a challenge because I got excited and I had some ideas, and then that's when things started to kind of, just getting it done, I feel like this is going to help me huge. Like, just the mission statement that I'm going to be saying, right?
Yeah, say it 3 times a day. Say it as many times as you can.
Can I interject really quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to say something.
Okay, before we get too far in, Thank you, Yanni, for telling me to speak up. Josh doesn't see me. I'm like, "Ooh, I have something." Before we get too far away, when you were presenting, Mary, and you said your statement, and then you got to the end and you said there is no other option, there was like a huge hesitation there. So I'm wondering what emotion or thought came up at that point.
So there's some fear, right? Because I've been in a place that's not fun and I don't want to go back there, right? But it also feels kind of like if you have a car that breaks down all the time and then you're planning a trek across the country with this car that you're like, what the heck am I doing? So I guess there's some of that. But I realized that, I mean, I don't have like a whole lot to lose really, you know, like, so I might as well try it. But I guess does that answer it?
Sure. Well, so because you have background with Kirk Duncan, and Kirk Duncan teaches about the come apart. You know about the come apart?
Yeah. And then you like basically the Dementors, right?
Well, yeah, as soon as you commit to this higher goal, things just start coming, just like you were saying, like
Slammed.
you're writing this and it was just all kind of coming in, and it was heavy, and that's like that come apart happening. So I'm curious, because you're having this fear about kind of going back to that place and you're going into a come apart, hopefully not sliding back. I'm curious about what empowerment techniques you have in your pocket. Not just like, oh, I'm going to go Google some, but like routine empowerment techniques will like make or break a come apart. So I'm just curious, like, what have you found that's helpful for you? Or do you have like regular empowerment techniques that you use?
I could probably use some. I've been trying to do classical conditioning with essential oils. You know, the books that talk about their emotional benefits or whatever. But even if it didn't even work, you could still classically condition yourself. So I've been doing that. I recorded that. I've been listening and I smell those and then I kind of use it, you know, like trying to trigger that through the limbic system or whatever. I probably do need more. Like probably my biggest carrying strength, I guess, was prayer. Like that's what got me here, is that I was just begging for help. And it was like the kind where you're actually willing to do what you're inspired to do, instead of like, give me an idea and I'll maybe do it. Like, like it was like a really serious, like I've just came from a place of feeling completely desperate, basically. And you know that act boldly and mighty forces will come to your aid. And like the thing that came to me was like, act boldly. I think that thought is what's kind of tossing me like forward when I start to fall. It's like, but I think I could use more. So feel free to.
Yeah, there's some just on some resources as far as a couple good release techniques and empowerment techniques as you're kind of working through this big goal of yours and this dream. One I know I learned from Kirk Duncan is I keep it, is just the negative and plus, right? And I've shared this with Ray and with Yanni, I believe, as well. But you're right, on the day, like divide your stuff in half, right? And then create a negative and positive, and you write your negatives down for the day, right? And the negative thoughts that you have, and it may be a negative emotion too, but you have these negative thoughts, they keep on recurring. Write them down, make sure that you understand and are aware of them and they're not just ruling you, right? And as you do that, on the other side, you have a positive, and you do a positive statement times 2, right? So if I say, oh, I can't make money, right? And it's a negative thought that keeps on reoccurring, and you write it down, and then on the other side you say, I make money and money comes to me effortlessly, right? So a times two to it. And what you do once you have those down for the entire day, and I would write this down for all my negatives for the entire day, and then at the very end of the day, I'll write the positives, and then I'll write, and I'll take off the piece of paper, I'll rip off the negative side, and I'll do a burning ritual, and I'll actually release it from me, right, for the day. And then I read my positives, and I read them out loud. I do all sorts of crazy things with them, get some inflection in my voice, get some energy out, and really bring in the energy to get those positives into my life, right? And maybe I'll stay with those positives for a little while and read those in the morning, read those after lunch, and read those, because if I'm having these reoccurring thoughts, I need to first release them and then replace them with something in my mind. And, you see this done in so many different ways as an empowerment and a release technique together. You could see lots of self-help gurus and do very similar empowerment techniques and release techniques. But that's just one thing that you can have a routine to do every single day, and that will help you get through these mental blocks that are going to come up during your day, right? And to allow you to release them and replace them and create the neural pathways that are different, right? And that's been a huge help to me. But that's just one technique.
One that pops up for me is just specifically because it seems like the hope is not sliding back into old habits, like thinking habits, is to, and Kirk Duncan talks about this, you may have already done it some, but specifically writing a story about you in 3 months with this blog, right? And how it feels and how successful and how boldly you're speaking, like really write down that future story like it is right now, and that is how you feel, and here's the emotional benefit that I'm receiving, and this is what it's done to all the people I've impacted. Because that's a huge thing. Like, it's so much less powerful to say, well, I feel empowered. Instead, let's talk about this one person that read my blog and was so inspired that she decided to do this in her life. Like, that is so much rewarding to us when we're able to cause transformation in other people. So if we can write that down and commit to that, that's something that you can put up and read every day with your affirmations, or whatever your daily routine is when you're doing your vision boards and stuff. Specifically with a goal, though, write your life as your goal has been accomplished that day, not in the future tense, but in the present tense. And that's super helpful for like retraining your brain and helping it to focus on the future that you want to create in your life. Another thing, specifically with depression, but all these kind of like negative thought patterns that we have, anxiety and depression and stuff like that, are all very much linked to our energy centers, to our chakras. And so I honestly used to think that it was like a whole bunch of hubbub, but over the past few months, I've really like engaged in that and figured out where my crazy huge blocks are, and really worked to open those up. And it's like been a game changer for me. Game changer. So that's also helpful, is figuring out where your blocks are and opening those up. So I personally, because I did the vision board like Kirk did. However, I have a vertical vision board, which is different than I've taught or that we teach in Dreamcatcher, right? Because we teach about the 9 things I know Ray and Yanni have gone through. Mary, you've gone through too. We talk about the 9, like Kirk does. But I recently had rearranged it so that it's by the chakras, and I have certain affirmations and then the goal that goes with that chakra. And if I say those every day, I can tell just intuitively like where my block is, because I feel a little bit more hesitation in my voice. Maybe I stutter when I get to that chakra. I'm like, ooh, I need to work on my throat chakra tomorrow because I'm a little tight there, right? And if you can just use simple things like that just to get a gauge on where you're blocked or where you're struggling, then the next day you can work specifically on opening that up, and then you can keep just like your energy flowing, and you can keep moving forward, and then you don't get stuck because there's nothing to get stuck on because you're keeping your energy flowing. Does that make sense? I know that was a lot.
No, I love it. I love it. And I did a mind movie, which is kind of like a vision board, but it's a movie and you have music. And I took some video footage, like from real life, but then also I've just kind of found stuff and recorded it. Like instead of figuring out how to download some movie and then transport it, I just like recorded it from my phone and then transported that into my movie. So so I can freshen that up, because it got to the point where I'm like, okay, I need to do something new to this because all the quirks in it are really bugging me. But it is one of the huge things that busted me free was the mind movie, because part of his belief that you're getting your mind to, in a way, you're getting long-term memories of the future. I love that. Like that's one of his lines. But and so you're like, you're convinced, you've convinced your mind that it's possible because it has these memories of it happening already because of the mind movie and that kind of thing. And so I could probably incorporate my goal into that. Because I really, and I think you're right. Like, I think this is probably one of the big things that could kind of stop me, right? And this is what I need to focus on. So morale, I guess.
I've got some thoughts.
Go for it.
So with the blog, is this a strategy to monetize? Like, are you wanting to create an income from this blog, or is it a passion project, nice to do, have feeling?
Both. There is definitely the hope of monetizing. That.
And how do you plan to do that? Like, what's your early day thoughts on monetizing?
So right off the bat, I'm not sure, other than affiliates.
Okay.
And so
that's a start. That's a good one.
I would get some content, and then I would try to find affiliates that kind of match the content, I guess, or, you know, like with whatever I'm talking about, right? Yep. That makes sense.
Ray, you have experience in affiliate marketing for sure, don't you?
Yeah,
I think that's where you started off with Farming Secrets, right?
Correct. Yeah. With Farming Secrets, my early day in with them was like, hey, I love what you're doing. I was working full time on an online course company, doing WordPress stuff and teaching people how to be consultants. And I reached out and said, I want to have more impactful, meaningful work in my life. And so I was kind of like volunteering my marketing expertise in exchange of affiliate marketing. And so I'd help them do a promo, and I'd get kickbacks when, you know, it needed to be a win-win or a zero deals type of thing. And then that started the conversation. And now, 3 years later, I'm part of their succession plan to take the business over into the new generation. So they're in their 70s now, so they're looking to retire. But they built this online business in their 60s, and it's fully automated. They were kind of like Netflix before Netflix, sending DVDs around to different farmers, teaching them how to farm naturally. So yeah, and I've been marketing and doing, that's why my mind is like, because just from my years and years and years of experience, you will get faced with decisions of working for money, taking, say, like a full-time role or a part-time role, or I need to do this because it's going to pay the bills. And so that's why I want to know how you're going to monetize this, because even though I've done so many passion projects and they all stop when it comes to, I need to pay bills and rent and survive. And you had Maslow's hierarchy of needs, so I know you understand that. And so there's a couple of thoughts, and please take these as like grain of salt. This is just my marketing brain thinking. So you mentioned at the start of the call that you have a different name on Google or something.
Yeah.
I'm just curious about that. You said it was a fake name.
Right. I started a children's channel like 5 years ago. Like I would just like making stuff with Play-Doh. And so I just used not my real name, but I mean, with my name, most people don't think it's real anyway. So I probably should have just used it. But what do you think I should change it? Is that?
No. I was not sure about the, I wasn't sure whether you were having a fake name because you weren't comfortable with being online. Like a lot of people have fake Facebook groups.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
I'm not comfortable with that, but it's hard to be a blogger and build personal brand if you have blockage there. So I feel like as a starting ground, we would need to overcome that. And so from a branding point of view, consistency is king. And if you're going to go down a personal brand, Like I work very deeply in my personal brand because it's transferable. It doesn't matter which company I work for. I'm building my Ray Miladoni brand, and I have a vanity website, as some people call it, which is like, this is who I am. These are my core values. And it goes with me like to my grave. So like, it doesn't matter who I work with. I'm always building my personal brand, which now kind of falls under this kind of stay sharp tagline. And I've got like podcasts and other things. And so I'm just trying to plant that seed very early that it's really important that you work on personal brand and be comfortable, even if it is under a pseudonym. It's just like everything has to channel there. So like when you join Zoom, it needs to be your name. When you like sign off on an email, it needs to be your name. When you give someone an email address, it needs to be your name. Because consistency and brand equity is really, really important for the long term. And so people will start getting confused if they see you in different platforms with different names and things like that. So just sharing that. I was more worried in case you had issues with a name on the internet, and that's completely fine. Just pick one name and stick to it. And then that becomes you online. Yeah.
And I think maybe you have a little bit of, Merry Christmas. You don't want to get it out there. You don't want to be perceived a certain way, but I would totally use it. Like there's a lot that you could do, and it's so unique, that's, and once people understand that name, so creating your personal brand, I think Ray's a good resource for that, because his website, and I just shared it, you can give it a look.
Thanks.
But getting a vanity URL, which is essentially your name, would be a good one there too.
And you already have it with merrychristmas.blog, and I've been to the website. I see you've got WordPress installed, which is great. So that was my next thought. So some other thoughts that popped up into my mind as well is a good strategy is to be a guest blogger. So when you're trying to build your brand, tap into other people's audiences that are already got eyeballs. So attention on the internet is the most hardest thing to do. And so with all respect, you're starting a secret. You're basically selling a secret at the moment. No one knows about this website. So your level of success for this website is going to be extremely hard. I would go to the point and say it's near impossible. Like just to set you up for success is to highlight that it's a very hard challenge. But that is an exciting challenge. I just got goosebumps saying that, to overcome that. And so what I would recommend that you do, and I've seen this work really well, I'll take the podcasting sector because I have a podcast and I've helped a lot of people in podcasting, is if you launch a podcast today, let's change podcasts with blog, no one's going to know about it. You submit it to the internet and it's like, it's a secret. And you are going to have to work really hard to drive traffic to that website or to that blog, that podcast. The key is not to start the podcast. The key is to have the podcast, but build it parallel with leveraging other people's audiences. So you know what your podcast is and your blog is going to be about. Then you go to other people's websites like Farming Secrets, who has a guest blogger application process. And we publish articles on behalf of other people because we can't be bothered writing blogs. I hate writing. That's why I have a podcast, because I like audio and video, which most people hate that. So use to your strengths. If you're a really good writer, go and write for other people who already have audiences and get your name and your brand in front of them. And so my strategy with launching a podcast would be have your podcast, because that's where you want to drive people to and talk about, this is how you hang out more with me. But to build that on your own is going to be quite challenging and near impossible. So you go on other people's podcasts and say, this is my area of expertise. This is who I am. And then listeners of 100 will then get to know you. And then the next podcast of 200 will get to know you. And then the next podcast of 50 will get to know you. And then you get the compounding effect. And that's where the magic happens. So that would be my parting advice.
I love that. That's such a good idea. I didn't even think of that.
And this is why we have masterminds.
I know, right?
I can build on that actually. So, I think a lot of that branding side that Ray just touched on, for me, I was actually relating to something you were talking about earlier with, what's your, not only guiding principle, but really your mission, right? I mean, it's easy to have a 1-sentence mission statement, right? But for me, when I was just getting started, one of the things I really did was I finally just sat down and did a full brain dump of what really got me to this point to actually launch my own startup and initiative. It's not just, right, it's not just like I see this problem and I think of a solution, or I just have this one desire. There's a story behind it. There's history, experience, right? And a lot of people say, okay, that's a great idea, but that doesn't register nearly as much as what's your story and what drives you, and having really, more than anything, the authenticity behind it to not only be legitimate, but also to show like you're in this and you're for real. And so for me, what I was thinking the whole time as far as all of this was not to say you overlooked it, but it's a kind of natural thing, but it's really like, what's your community, right? Like all of this to me, as far as the empowerment side goes, is all community. And so it's saying you're building out this goal of empowerment and giving people the ability to self-actualize. But to do that, I think it really starts by establishing what not only your mission is, but your guiding values for community is, and what that looks like. And I really, for a while, leaned away from the value-driven business, and I was like, oh, it's corny. And like people keep correcting me, like, no, it's not. It's a real thing. You should lean into it. And I finally have been. And that's kind of my my lesson learned. But so I think just between really developing your values and also really taking that deep dive into your mission, especially now when it's early, before you get things bogging you down with blog posts and podcasts and all this other stuff, like having that clarity eliminates a lot of the doubt that would keep you from moving forward or thinking that you can't do this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree with Daniel on that one as well. And some of the frameworks that can help you to do that are, the story brand framework that we often talk about as well. I'm not sure if we've talked together, you and I, Mary, about story brand, but creating, your why that you wrote down can be also used as a good filter for you as you create content, but also creating and looking at what your story is for your user, right? In StoryBrand, Donald Miller, he talks about who is your who's the hero in your brand story or in this blog story. Like your Merry Christmas, are you the hero or is your audience the hero?
You're asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
Can we both be?
No, you can't.
Synergistically?
So there's two people. There's the hero and the guide in the story. And really what you want to be, and we all want to be the hero in our own story.
Be the guide, right?
You want to be the guide, right? And so when you define this story, you're creating a hero's journey pathway for your guide. So a hero always has a want, a desire. Define what your audience's desire is, right? And right before he got off, and Felicia is actually saying some things as well. But Vincent said there's a app called Otter Voice, and you can transcribe your phone conversations and other conversations through Otter. And I've done this before. I transcribe my Zoom conversations with people that I think are my ideal audience, right? And what I do there is I try to get really three big things from them to understand their story, right? If I think this person is my ideal client and they're willing to talk with me, and I'm going to interview them up front to try to get an understanding of what their needs are and maybe how I can satisfy them, I try to get what their desire is, what they want, their main challenges to getting that and obtaining that desire. And I try to understand what the false beliefs that they have in order to get that. So there's going to be some mindset shifts that they're going to need. And they're going to be saying some things. And a lot of times, Kirk Duncan, the way he comes up with his stuff, if you're listening to him, he's just pulling out false beliefs the entire time. He's just trying to understand your false beliefs. And then he's helping you to tackle those false beliefs. And that's what a lot of people do in sales and in marketing and in their messaging. right? And that's really what you're trying to create. So in a story-driven format, and Donald Miller does this really well, and he has a book called Story Brand that you can look up.
Oh, okay.
And it'll allow you some frameworks to actually find out what your wants, what your clients' wants are, the challenges that they have, and identifying kind of false belief structures that they're going to have along the way, but then helping them to guide them through overcoming that and realizing and seeing the transformation that you bring as a guide in their life to overcoming their challenges and achieving what they desire, right? So these are just some different frameworks that you could use as you're building this blog. You kind of want to know some of these pieces of your hero and pieces of yourself as this irresistible guide to them, to be able to tell the right story, to be able to create a transformation for your audience.
So am I guiding the audience, and they're the hero?
Mm-hmm,
right?
exactly.
Like I'm guiding them. Okay.
Yes. So let's look at it like you're Obi-Wan Kenobi, and everybody that comes to visit your site is Luke Skywalker, and they are the Luke Skywalker that has not even picked up a lightsaber yet, who just lost his parents, right? Or just lost his uncle and aunt, right? And you're trying to get him to Coruscant or whatever, and you know, or let's use the Harry Potter reference, right? And you can totally do that. And you're trying to build them through. Felicia looks like she had a bounce, but she had some things to say. I have a list of many permaculture resources I just got the other day, but it's not typed up. I can send you a photo if you email her, Felicia Chavez at gmail.com. Have attended, so she's trying to help you in your question of like learning permaculture, right?
Yeah.
Haven't attended to this website for a while, but still helpful. Lifelikehoney.net. There's another, and you can actually download, and I will do this for you, the notes for this show, so you have all this.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Lifelikehoney.net. For me, images take a lot of time with blogs, so be sure to front load those as well as content. And okay. I really like this. I'm just going to put this in the notes as well. Does anybody else use Unsplash for images?
I do.
Oh, yes.
All the time.
Yes. So, Ray, do you know about Unsplash? If you don't, man, we need to turn you on to Unsplash.
I do, but I have Bella that does that for me. So.
Oh, yes, you have someone that does it for you. I have Emily that does it for me.
Oh, it's Unsplash with an H. So with a S. Oh, sorry.
I did, yeah.
Unsplash.
I have a question, Mary, actually. Yeah, but so first of all, thank you so much for sharing your story. It actually gave me goosebumps when you started talking. It was really powerful. I think you're a great storyteller. And I'm also a Harry Potter fan, so I totally get it. It's like, yes, I love it. I love it. And I'm really happy that you are writing this story and sharing it with the world, right? And so as I was listening to your story, as well as when I listened to your vision statement, you said that you want to help people, right? And so like, I think this relates to what Josh just said about this big, like broad word called people. Who are they? And I struggle with the same thing when I started my MOKR. I was like, I just want to help everyone. Like, what's wrong with that?
Like, so every age, every situation. Yeah. I need to start somewhere.
Yeah. And I learned quickly that actually making it so broad, making it so wide and generic, it doesn't help me at all. I couldn't get anybody to understand what I'm trying to do. And I had to like really, actually really narrow down. Like, you know, I think Ray and Josh and Emily can speak about this as well. And I finally found the words, and I was like, yeah, I want to work with companies like this, teams like this. And, because I think it came from my fear of trying to fit into a box, or like what people think of me.
Right.
So I'm trying to please everyone almost, like, I want to serve everyone. What's wrong with that? Because like, I think in my head, it's like, oh, like, in order to be accepted, I have to be available for everyone. I think that's sort of my deep-seated belief and mindset. And again, I learned it the hard way, and I finally was able to say, yeah, I just want to work with like B Corps, impact-driven social ventures, or like, even like companies or teams who are at a certain stage only, not at the beginning, not like they've been around for like decades, or whatever, right? So I like, there's a specific sort of stage where they're in, where they are open to innovation. And so for me, again, that is my question to you, like, because in order for you to write a really good, compelling story and like creating this blog, it has to be specific. It has to resonate with the people who you are writing for. Again, your heroes. And people have different challenges in life, right? So like, we can't talk to a 10-year-old because they have different challenges compared to like somebody who is 30-year-old or something like that.
Right. I'm like making Play-Doh with kids, and then like want to go to prisons and help them learn to meditate. Like it's
but there's a story
everywhere.
in that. There's a massive story in that. Like, because humans are humans, and we have the same trigger points. We have the same, like there's a massive story in it, and that's unique.
Exactly.
You can't Google that and find it elsewhere. And that's where I was going to go as well, is in order to like, don't feel like the weight of creating these blogs is all on your shoulders. Like, you can reach out and ask 20 experts in this field one question, and then collate that together and say, I reached out to 20 experts and asked them this, and this was my findings. Create story that's so uniquely you that the one thing that I did with my podcast was that I didn't Google people. I never researched my guest, because the minute I researched my guest, I had too much prior knowledge, and I'd start talking about stuff that was already on the internet. I don't want those conversations. I want the conversations where the guest goes, oh my God, I've never shared this story and it brought me to tears. How did you do that? And I was like, because I didn't want to know anything about you.
I didn't know you.
And yeah, that's right. So I don't want to talk about the book that you've published and you've spoken about 700 times on all these podcasts and been on the news and been featured in. Like, that's boring. People can already find that on people's Wikipedia page. I want to get to those conversations that people have never said anymore, And so I'd ask questions that would be thought-provoking, that would get people to go to a space that they wouldn't do. And that's how you create unique content. But don't feel like you have to do all that yourself. I forget what they call this type of content strategy, where you ask people questions and you get them to build your content. And then you're also getting third-party credibility, because it's not just what I say. It's, I've leaned on this expert and they said this quote. And you might interview them or get them, like, getting people to write something is very hard, because I'll never do it. But if they might make a 5-minute video and you might take one line from that video. And that's enough to kind of bring in third-party credibility and help others. It's kind of like crowdsourcing the blog creation process. And I always do this. I had to recently put together a checklist for like podcast artwork. And I just went into a podcast group and said, what's your number one tip when it comes to doing your artwork? And then all the comments came in, and then I went, oh, yeah, that's good. Oh, that's good. And then I just grabbed the 6 that related best to me, and I put them into my 6-point checklist. And so it was crowdsourced. I didn't have to think about it. I just put it out to the universe, and everyone gave me helpful advice. And then I grabbed those bits of information, put it into a more helpful guide, which is now a downloadable PDF.
Yeah, you don't have to
Outsource.
be the professional right now, right?
Yeah.
And you can get professionals, and so I did that today actually on our podcast. I got MP, who's working through a challenge, and I got Adam Brock, who is this amazing social permaculture professional, right? And what I did is MP is working through this unique challenge that Adam Brock has already solved, right? And I just let them talk and converse for an hour, and I pretty much didn't say anything, but I made some really amazing content in that process, and I learned some things, and I'm able to share those learning lessons from that conversation with my audience, right? And that's something that you could do. And I think you can call it curation, but who is it? Brendon Bouchard has a word for it. The different types of influencers, right? And one of those types of influencers are, you could be the professional influencer, but you could also be the person that aggregates information. And you see, like Jim Collins did that really well, of Good to Great. He wasn't a professional. He just took all of these really amazing businesses that were doing great and analyzed them. And then he also analyzed people's falls from greatness and people's rises into greatness. And he created a book around it. And then he became the professional by the research. Who else has done this really well? Malcolm Gladwell. Malcolm Gladwell.
Yeah.
All he is a
Really
researcher, right? Yeah. And he just researches and puts the data together. And if you dive enough time into understanding the story where other people haven't, that could be your unique talent. And it sounds like you do, Mary. You have gobbled up so much information just in the time that I've known you. Tim Ferriss, he's also a little too much for me at times.
But this is all his this is all his podcast interviews. He grabbed all his podcast interviews and collated them to this massive ass book that probably no one will ever read. And it's like the tactics, routines, and habits of billionaires, icons, and world-class performers. All he did was got someone to transcribe all his podcasts.
Yes.
That's how he wrote this book.
And you can definitely do that. Like it becomes a really unique talent set, but you've learned so much in this short period. And that's what I'm saying. It might be a talent for you, right?
Well, and
I've seen you pick up permaculture and like so quickly, like really dive into some books and have a good knowledge around it. And you've done that with your working through the self-development work, Kirk stuff and all of these other different things. So it might be a really good route for you on the blog as well.
I really do like that. I'm a learner, and that's like I love that, researching, collecting, finding connections and themes. So yeah, I could incorporate that. I like that.
Always stay the student. That's the 7th habit of highly effective people. That's basically what my whole business is built on. Sharpen the sword. Just always stay curious, always be the student, because the minute you think you've learned everything, you start going backwards.
And no one can stand you. No, I'm just kidding.
That's true. That's a good point. I gotta steal that.
Cool.
Had something to add and I already forgot. I'll come back.
I'm sorry, we're talking too much. Ray and I can often do that sometimes.
I got it. Okay. The other thing I was going to say, you were talking about crowdsourcing, and it's along the lines of what I've been, I haven't been crowdsourcing, but the other side of things, which Josh, I mentioned to you in our call, is this sense of radical collaboration and basically kind of leading with just humility and going and saying, look, this is what I'm trying to do, and showing, again, going through your story and showing your authenticity, right? And just getting people on board who are already doing something in the space that you already want to do. That helps build your legitimacy and helps you build this out with proven models already and people that can help you along your way. You don't have to start from scratch. The idea is that there's already a lot of resources out there. It's very rare that anyone's doing anything completely 100%, original, and there's no shame in that. It, in fact, is to your advantage if you work it right. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you.
I call it being the glue. You just want to glue everything together, and then this is my masterpiece.
There's no original thought under the sun. The original thoughts are actually piecing it together and actually getting to work on that piecework. Yeah. What were you gonna say, Mary?
Oh, just like how you do with your podcasts, how you invite different people, different knowledge. It was just along the lines of getting information from other fresh places, like it's not all on me, kind of. So like that.
So it takes a little bit. I would say we've been doing the podcast for a year, and I know Ray can probably talk about this as well, because I've seen some of the guests that are bigger names as well. It takes a little bit to get to know people within an industry, right? And specifically those people that are gonna help your audience, right? And So it's going to take a little bit of getting out of your shell too. And that's one of the things that I've really enjoyed about podcasting and blogging, because I've done blogs as well, is going out there and talking with people and bumping up against people that I don't know, or that are from different worlds. And I've become sort of a connector in that sense, right? And because I know this person and I know this person, I can connect them together, and I can have those types of conversations now, where I know someone's going through this struggle. Sorry, I'm playing around with something on my hands. I know someone's going through this challenge or struggle, and I know someone that can help them. I can put them together, and I can create a story from that, right? And it might take a little bit to build those, but start now. Start getting yourself out there, I think, is another lesson that I've learned, is you can't just wait to talk to that person that you know you want to reach out to, right? Or be afraid that they're going to reject you, because chances are they're going to reject you a few times before they even get a word, you even get a word in with them.
Well, I think that's good advice. Like, definitely have a shell to come out of, you know? So, and that's partly when I told you tonight that I was in a hurry to do it, because then I didn't have to worry about it, because it'd be done. Like, that's kind of how I'm approaching some of those things. Like, just do it.
Quick thing. So I've been the one writing the blog posts for the last year for Seeds of Tao. Josh is not the one who writes those. Every single week, I write the blog posts. I think there was one time I had him write one, like one time.
Yeah.
No? Yeah,
No, I
because
don't
it
think
was
so.
tiny, and I was like, Josh, it needs to be longer.
I'm just
Anyways.
I'm just the critic. You know?
That's true. That's true. Well, that is one thing he is good at doing. Oh yeah. Anyways, my point. It is really hard to sit down and be like, what am I going to write today? You know what I mean? Every single blog post that I've written is off of the podcast. It's off of a conversation that happened. So even if you don't have the same structure with the podcast, okay, hold on, buddy. Even if you're not doing it that way, if you are having conversations with people enough to spur thoughts, like you need to be out there engaging with people so that you can get ideas to write blog posts. Go away. Oh, okay. That is going to help you immensely, because starting from ground zero, every week or every month that you're writing is going to be just like, it's going to be an uphill battle. The other thing I was going to say that's really super important in blogging is consciously deciding on your voice. I mean, that's all part of your branding. You know, how colloquial are you? How formal are you? Is your voice trying to be inspiring? Is your voice trying to be like raw and real and like, this is how it is? You know what I mean? Making a conscious decision there is super important in the beginning, because which is branding. You have to become, I'm not making tea right now, dude. No, they're drinking bone broth. Sorry, guys. No, it's not. It's not the same thing. Anyways, sorry, I'm gonna try to get this out. You need to fill an emotional role for your readers. So you have that personal branding, and a huge part of that as a blogger is your voice. And so just like really consciously figure out, find your voice. Shh, I'm talking. Shh. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna be done. We'll just call that good.
Find your voice. Yeah, enough said for that one. That's super, and that's something
and you've got to experiment with that. You know, try the ruffling the feathers and go, no, that's not me. Or try, being supportive and go, oh, that's like what everyone else is doing. Like, you got to trial these things. That's what I've found anyway.
I like that. Then I don't feel like, I have to pick one, but I do need to probably find which one fits me. So
yeah, it's like how we shop for clothes. You know.
And talk it out, like out loud, and record yourself, right, with what you're saying. I did this I'm dyslexic, so I have to, it takes me a while to write things, but when I actually read out loud what I'm doing in the voice and tone that I want, I can write better. And sometimes I would just record myself with a blog idea, right? And I want to talk about this, and I just record myself. daily journaling has really, really helped me. For the time that I was doing more blogs, blog writing, I was working for a company, I was writing their blogs. I would journal every day just to get my mind going on different thoughts and getting my voice in different places. And that's where I test my voice. I don't necessarily test my voice on the blog posts. I test my voice in my thought creation, me talking to my recording, or me just journaling at nighttime or in the morning. That's where I test a lot of my stuff. Because if I'm inconsistent in my voice on my blog over a certain period of time, I could lose my audience as well, right? So a lot of times you're going to be testing, but you're going to want to stick to something, and then you can do a pivot as you really find your voice, right? So stick to something on your blog, and then people won't recognize the kind of schizophrenia voice that you would have if you were testing all of these different voices out every single time you're on a blog post, right? Those are some of the ways that I've played around with voice and tone in my writing, and in a podcast as well.
Grammarly is also a really cool tool to have on your computer downloaded. It's just free, but it will help you edit and
fix your dyslexia.
I need that.
Yes.
It fixes all kinds of Josh's dyslexia, and it you can tell it what kind of voice you want to have. Just basic,
Yeah.
right? But like I wrote, it was so funny. Last week's blog post, I wrote awakening, like I quoted it, and it was like, you're very formal here. Like it told me that, and I read the post to Josh, and he's like, man, your voice is off. And then he's like, you should take the quotes off. All I did was take those quotes off. So apparently now I seemed condescending or something. Then all of a sudden it's like friendly, and Josh is like, yeah, much better. Like, but it's just kind of a good, if you don't have somebody to just like bounce that off right away, it's just a good little thing to kind of keep you on track.
Like it picks up on stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I wrote, what was it? Was it an email or something, Dave? And it was like, you sound angry. And Josh is like, yeah, you do. And I'm like, I'm not even angry. I don't know why. So it's like good, because sometimes you have no idea.
Wow, that's awesome.
I'm writing my
That's wild.
affirmations online saying, you're happy. And it's kind of funny because I keep Grammarly on everything.
It's like,
you're
you sound
enthusiastic.
annoying,
You're
but-
exciting. Yeah.
That's cool. It's like it has a personality or something.
So
how do you feel, Mary?
Yeah.
How do I feel?
Mm.
Like what voice? Or
No, how do you feel like after going through this?
oh, awesome. I just I feel a little more grounded, right? Because I was just kind of like going for it and trying to build the plane as I'm flying kind of thing. But I feel really good. Like I just have some ideas and some things I want to tap into.
Awesome.
That I did not think of.
Building a plane while he's flying is the best approach.
Oh, there's
You're already in the air while everyone's still trying to.
Right, you're more motivated to build it because you don't want to crash. No,
but it doesn't hurt to start building the tarmac so you can land safely too.
That's smart. If you want to be really smart like Daniel, you got to build the tarmac. Oh, MP.
We'll have a parachute.
Yeah, just build the parachute, right? You need to get to your destination, just jump out the window.
Or like
you've seen
a wingsuit if you're really trying to take off.
Yeah.
The what's really kind of fun. We're just kind of wrapping up and having fun here, but have you seen the entrepreneur meme? It's the GIF of people can get their wheels up on too. Have you seen that? And they do this in the Middle East, like contests of how you can get your wheels up on two and then change the wheels as the car is moving on two wheels, right? And this is what entrepreneurship is, right? It's exactly what entrepreneurship is. You're driving, you got to keep on going. You can't stop, right? You just got to throw it up on two wheels and repair the two wheels as you're going. It really is what entrepreneurship is. But it's a lot of fun, and it's an adventure. So I hope, Mary, this has been opening for you and
I have one more thing.
energy. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. Okay, so what I was going to say earlier about your voice is that I know that I've talked. It's not going well right now, guys. I know I've talked in previous sessions, so like Ray and Yanni and MP have heard. You back away from me, sir. About personal branding, and figuring out your brand archetypes will help immensely deciding your voice.
You did say something about archetypes.
I know, Ray, we still need to talk about how to implement that, but your voice is a big factor in that. Okay.
Did Mary you did your MOKR today?
Yes.
Oh, cool. Oh, I missed it. It's okay. I can watch the recording.
Yeah.
Replay.
My meeting went way later than I thought. Sorry.
It's good to see it, MP.
Better late than never.
Yeah.
I do feel encouraged though. Like I feel a lot of positivity, which is awesome. And that this is recorded. I can use this. I can watch this over again. So to help me. So thank you for that, everybody.
The best thing will be though, not watching us back, but getting to write it for yourself and then just looking back in your own words, because that'll mean like 10 times more, hopefully.
I'll do that too, but this is still good.
Good start though, yeah.
I also like just to see the progress over time. It's a good feel good, you're at the very beginning. And to look back at this even 3 months from now, you'll see just the awesome changes that you've made just by getting started. So yeah, I'm excited. So last little wrap up things and housekeeping. Where did I put it? Here we go. The email list is slowly growing for Seeds of Doubt. I'm just going to put this in. If you haven't gotten yourself in the come on. If you haven't gotten yourself on the email list for the MOKR Mastermind, make sure you put yourself on there. And another thing, if you are looking to do your MOKR, here is the sample MOKR document that you can. Oh, actually, I wouldn't give you that link because that's the wrong share. Of course, it needs to load. My internet's really slow. Does anybody have the MOKR document?
Very much, everyone. Good luck, Mary, and look forward to seeing your progress. And next Friday, I won't be able to make it, so I'll be absent next Friday.
Okay.
Look for my blog, Christmas
I think
Day.
that's like the first MOKR Mastermind you've missed since we started. Right.
Yeah, so. It's my partner's birthday, so got to do the duties.
Yeah.
Well, you've asked permission, so you're officially excused.
Thank you.
Free to go.
Yeah, awesome. I'm glad. Otherwise, I could just like play a recording of my head bopping.
I won't be able to make it either till next week.
Good to see you, Ray. Bye.
Thanks so much.
Cheers. Bye.
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna go now. Thanks so much. Bye.
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 Great.
Daniel.
I'm email list right now.
Great. And here's the MOKR if you want to sign up for your own MOKR, right? That's the document. All right. Good to see you, Daniel.
Nice to
Yeah,
meet you.
thanks so much, guys.
Well, have a good night.
You too. Good night,
See you guys
everybody.
later.
Yeah, good to see you for a second.
Yeah. Bye-bye. MP.
Bye.
Bye.
I did it.
You
It's
did
over.
it, MP. Or you did it, Mary. Oh, so good. So good. Not as hard as it. We weren't gonna bite, right? It was
Right.
friendly. It was fun. Yeah. I'm glad you did it. I'm glad you just dove in and went for it. Any feedback for me on the process?
Not too much. I guess on the paper when it's like, don't change the format, don't change the whatever. Like I wasn't sure. I like deleted some things and inserted my stuff instead. But I was just kind of like, oh, I better leave it because I don't know. I was just a little bit worried right there with, oh, am I leaving too much of the original or am I taking too much out? That's not really very big, but
that's a great, and I kind of get where you're saying, and I should be a little bit more like change this, put key result here. That would be helpful. Thank you. Helpful feedback. Yes, thank you again for taking the time to do this, and hopefully it's been rewarding for you. And please, as you keep on moving forward on this, and share your feedback on and challenges that you run up into on the Slack channel. You could do that there, and you could also come and 2-3 months when you're getting close, or you're halfway through your MOKR, or maybe you complete your MOKR early, which I think this one you could really do really quickly, right?
Yeah.
So if you complete this MOKR early and you're like, I'm going to share my results, let's sign up for another time again, and we'll do the same kind of thing, but we'll review and kind of help you to go get to the next step, right?
Okay, that's awesome.
All right.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Mary. You have a wonderful evening.
You too. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.